All right, so let's go over a quick review of the Jacksonian era. We're not going to talk too much about John Quincy Adams' presidency. We're going to actually talk about the fact that it was how he gained the presidency that was the most controversial thing that he did. So, starting off with this, in 1824, John Quincy Adams was running against Andrew Jackson. There were multiple other candidates, but these are the two main candidates. The 1824 election cast a major shadow on John Quincy Adams' presidency, and it's mainly because Andrew Jackson received most of the popular votes. But since we use the Electoral College, you needed to get a majority of votes. So even though Jackson won more popular votes, he did not receive a majority in regards to the Electoral College. So at that point, according to the 12th Amendment, the House of Representatives votes on the top three candidates. So it's basically John Quincy Adams and Andrew Jackson. And I think it was Henry Clay as well who was running, who was the third person. But really it's between John Quincy Adams and John Quincy Adams and Andrew Jackson. Well, what ends up happening is Henry Clay is one of the head guys of the House of Representatives. And he decides to swing his vote and persuade a few other people to vote for John Quincy Adams. After the election, John Quincy Adams wins because of Henry Clay's support and miraculously becomes John Quincy Adams' Secretary of State, which is a really great position to have. So if you're Andrew Jackson or Jacksonian supporters, you obviously think, well, Henry Clay was bribed by John Quincy Adams with the Secretary of State position. And so for the next 4 years, Andrew Jackson will basically be spending his time trying to trash talk and overthrow John Quincy Adams. Because of how John Quincy Adams got the presidency, it's going to be a very hard presidency for him. Not many people are going to think that if he was the rightful president, he's not going to get a lot done with Congress. In fact, he's actually known more for the work that he did outside of being president than anything else. And he does eventually go back to Congress after becoming president, which is rare. So one of the big things that happens at the end of John Quincy Adams' presidency is the Tariff of Abomination. This is a tax on imports, and abomination is not positive. So it's a huge tax on imports. And it's suggested by Jacksonian supporters because they know in the 1828 presidential election that Jackson needs votes from the North and the Midwest. He's got the votes from the West. He's got the votes from the South. He's the common man. So what they do is they actually pass the Tariff of Abominations. It places a tax on imports, forces people to buy more of Midwestern or New England goods because those goods are now cheaper as compared to goods that are imported. And the South, of course, hates this. South relies a lot on imports, especially foreign imports, and so they're not going to be very happy with this at all. This is going to anger a lot of people, but it does help Jackson gain some much-needed support up in the North. Because, like I said, he has support in the South, he has support in the West. He's a battle hero of New Orleans, fought the Native Americans, that type of guy. So the 1828 election stands out the most because this is when you see most of the mudslinging happening. This is trash talking your opponents. You can see in the picture on the right, they're trying to sew Andrew Jackson's mouth shut. Andrew Jackson's, saying that John Quincy Adams is a nudist and he's a gambler and he spent government money to buy a pool table for the White House. And Andrew Jackson is a murderer because he fought in duels and his wife's an adulterer. And so they're going back and forth, and it gets personal. It's not just about what you believe is best for the country, but who you are as a person. And like I said, Andrew Jackson, upset that he didn't win the presidency in 1824. This is just a continuation of what he's been doing for the past 4 years. Jackson will win the election. This is an example of the first election. Common people loved him. People came out to celebrate. They had a big party in the White House, which is something obviously you can't do today. And this is something that I mentioned in class during the second inauguration. They had a giant block of cheese for everybody to enjoy after the inauguration. And we will stop here, and this is something actually that we already went over in class, but these are just a few things that Jackson's known for. And one of his nicknames obviously is Sharp Knife. The other one is Old Hickory.